Hey, man, we gotta get the word out.
It's time for Rock with Doc Krock and the Randude. Talking about cardiology, rock music, motorcycles, and having a good time. Call in and be a part of the show. Here's cardiologist Mark Krock and Randude from the radio.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. How are you today on this fine, wet, and rainy Friday afternoon?
No kidding. It went from 80 to 40 degrees in a day.
Welcome to Texas, my friend.
Yeah, amen.
All right, we are coming to you from the very plush on-air media studios here in Dallas, Texas. We're going to talk a little bit of cardiology. We're going to talk a little bit of motorcycles. We're going to talk about, what else are we going to talk about, Doc?
Blood clots today.
Blood clots. That's what's on the agenda today. We're going to talk a little DVT.
That's right.
Deep vein thrombosis.
That's right. Preventing it from going to your lungs and killing you.
Yeah.
Because who wants to die?
Nobody wants that.
That's right.
So we're also going to talk about VMX. I'm talking about vintage motocross and some of the stuff that I did last weekend. So did you have a good week this week, Doc?
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. How many lives did you save?
Couple
Just
lives
just
saved
two?
in procedures and working on prevention in the clinic, that kind of stuff, the usual. What about you? What did you do this week with the kids? Did you do anything with the kids?
Well, I helped some kids, and their family. Actually, last week, a couple weeks ago, every first or second Saturday or Sunday in October, we do this thing called the Ride for Kids, and it is benefits the Pediatric Brain Tumor Foundation and the local families. So I want to just show a little video of what happened a few weeks ago at the Ride for Kids.
Oh, cool. All right.
Every year, usually the second Sunday in October, I get to ride in and host the DFW Ride for Kids. It's the local arm of the nationally recognized Pediatric Brain Tumor Foundation based in Asheville, North Carolina. They hold rides like this all over the country, counting on local businesses, recipient families, the biker community, and local police departments to help raise money for the local families dealing with the stress and expense that comes with raising a child with a brain tumor. Our DFW Shining Stars, as they're called, range in age from infant to 27 years old. In fact, one of the eldest stars, Nora, is also one of the biggest fundraisers in our area. So a big thanks to our Shining Stars, their families, and all the sponsors and bikers that make this event a huge success year after year. It's a chance for the kids afflicted with brain tumors to escape the doctor's appointments, escape the meds, and escape normal everyday life by riding with and alongside the bikers around Tarrant and Denton counties. Which also includes visits from superheroes and a few trips around our own super speedway, Texas Motor Speedway. This year, our one-day event raised $45,000. To get involved, find them on Facebook under DFW Ride for Kids.
You see there, man, $45,902. Now that money right there,
That's crazy.
It stays right here in Dallas-Fort Worth to help the kids that are afflicted and the families that are afflicted with brain tumors. So it's a great thing that we do every year, and the bike community comes out and forces. Now there's a lot of these kids come back every year, and one of the kids, Benjamin, he's got a Facebook page called Benjamin's Blessings. He's pretty afflicted pretty bad, and when I first met him, I think he was like 10 years old. He just celebrated his 16th birthday. Wow. And coming up next March, he's going to be 10 years cancer-free.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
That's
so
crazy.
It's awesome. And the guys at the Pediatric Brain Tumor Foundation do great work.
That's awesome.
Thank you, bikers.
Yeah, that's like every week they're doing something.
We're always doing something, man. In fact, at the end of the show, I'm going to tell you what I'm doing this weekend to help some of the kids in Collin County.
Okay, cool.
So what are we going to talk about as far as DVT is concerned here, Doc?
Well, we need to talk about DVT blood clots in the legs, preventing the development of those clots in your legs, and then preventing, of course, it from breaking loose into the lungs. These clots are a big killer. Yeah. It's probably one of the most common diagnoses in a cardiology clinic, believe it or not, during the week. Folks come in with chest pain, They think it's their heart, and we work them up for heart problems. And lo and behold, we do a CAT scan and screen them and find a blood clot in their lungs. Put them on a blood thinner then, have it melt away. They're on that blood thinner 6 months to a year.
Right.
Make it melt away. And it's a big save. A lot of times when you see people drop dead or hear about it, it's a blood clot that, folks
because blood clots start strokes too, right?
Yeah, so blood clots that go up to the brain, that's a stroke. Blood clots that form inside the heart, arteries, that's a heart attack. And then blood clots in the legs that go up to the lungs, that's a pulmonary embolus.
So you brought some visuals to show us.
Yeah, we got a video. We're going to go with the American Heart Association video, talk about that, talk about the risk factors for blood clots, folks on oral contraceptive medicines, folks that are on that have had surgery, spinal surgery, paralysis, cancer risk. Once you're over 40, that's a risk factor for developing blood clots in and of itself. Hormone therapy in general for menopause. All of these are risk factors for blood clots.
So let's see your video.
Okay, let's go.
Roll it.
Venous thromboembolism, or VTE, is the blood clot in the vein. It requires immediate attention. The faster you get treated, the better your odds of avoiding a dangerous complication. That's why knowing the signs is so important. VTE is actually two conditions. Deep vein thrombosis, or DVT, is a clot in a deep vein, typically in the leg. Pulmonary embolism, or PE, happens when the clot breaks free, travels to the lungs, and blocks blood flow. Signs of DVT include pain in the leg, especially the calf area, redness, swelling, and skin that feels warm to the touch. If the clot breaks free and travels to the lungs, this can cause trouble breathing. Other signs of PE are chest pain, fast heartbeat, and dizziness or fainting. VTE can affect anyone, but people who've recently had major surgery are at greater risk. So are those who don't move for lengthy periods because of long-distance travel or extended bed rest for illness or injury. Women who are pregnant or who have just had a baby are also more prone to develop VTE. Other things that may increase the risk include smoking, using oral contraceptives, taking estrogen replacement therapy, being over 40, and having a previous VTE.
Yeah, so you can see how these symptoms, especially the PE part,
Right.
just mimic a heart attack. People think, I'm having a heart attack, or it's my heart. And then they come in and they get evaluated, and we scan them, do a CAT scan, do an ultrasound of their legs, look for clots in their legs or in their chest.
Yeah, that's one of the things my mom was diagnosed with and was treated for was DVT. She had health problems all over the place, but I remember her taking Coumadin.
Yeah.
Is that a blood thinner?
Yeah,
of some
that's
sort?
the older medicine. People have heard about it. Warfarin, you get an INR check, you check the blood thinner level check of the Coumadin medication. But nowadays we have all these newer medicines, Eliquis, Pradaxa, Xarelto. You've heard of all of those.
Sure.
Those are what we treat now, all those blood clotting issues and so on.
And if anybody is watching and wants to call in, phone lines are open. That number is 972-884-0816 while we're talking about DVT and heart health with Doc Krock and the Randude.
Now listen to this. In 2003, NBC News news guy David Bloom, he was overseas, maybe Iraq or something about that time. Iraq was going on, and he died suddenly. 2003, because he was embedded with the troops in these foxholes and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And there was a time where he was like sitting solid for 10 hours or something like that.
Yeah, it's 8 hours. So if you stay, immobile on a long travel, especially 8-hour flight, motorcycle ride, you don't move around much, you don't get off your bike very much, and all these various travel modes where you're not moving around.
We have a caller, gentlemen.
Oh, we do?
Oh, wow.
Yes, caller, you are
yeah.
live on air with Doc Krock and the Randude.
Hello?
Yes. How you guys doing?
Hey, how's it going?
How's it going, brothers?
Hey, doing well.
Yeah, I was just calling in. My father recently just went to the doctor. I usually go with him, and so I take notes. Sorry if y'all hear echo. I'm in the bathroom. I'm on break.
Okay.
But I had to sneak in here and call you guys.
Where do you work? You work somewhere in the hospital?
Oh, no, not in the hospital.
Okay.
No.
Sorry, I interrupted. So what's your question?
Oh, yeah. And the doctor mentioned DVT or PE or all these different abbreviations. And so they're like, of course, Google it. And I didn't want to do that and then get, scared or get too much information or, get overexcited. So I was like, let me call in. I listen all the time. So I was like, let me call in and ask. I finally got through.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, so these letters, like we were going through a little bit ago, thanks for the question. Well, and he's asking about the abbreviations. It sounds like he listens to the Bo and Jim show.
Yeah.
And he's heard us there before. But anyway, so DVT stands for deep venous thrombosis. Deep, obviously, it's the deep veins, not the superficial veins on the surface. And it's on the venous side, so the blue side of your circulation, and then you get a thrombosis, which means a clotting in that leg. And then a pulmonary embolus is the area where it goes in the lungs. That's pulmonary. An embolus means a clot that broke loose and floated downstream. That's what an embolus is. So that's what that's what it means.
Okay. Yeah.
So I appreciate.
That's what I'm saying. I was listening to that part, but I was saying, does it happen instantly? Is it happens over time? Because he's a truck driver.
Oh yeah. Oh, there we go.
Is a truck driver susceptible to DVT?
Oh yeah. Are you kidding me? Big time. So it's an 8-hour travel. So that's it. An 8-hour travel in the truck without moving your legs around. Bam. You're at risk for a clot forming in the legs. And then they get up out of that truck, start walking somewhere, boom, that clot breaks loose, goes to the lungs, and then there they go. We've had truck drivers collapse dead on the side of their road, getting out of the truck. So,
wow.
So it's not necessarily a heart attack that kills people instantly, too.
That's right. It's like the blood clot goes to the lungs. Now there's no circulation in the vasculature of the lungs. So there's no way to breathe or do oxygen exchange in the lungs, and that's what happens. They just collapse to death.
And so he goes in for test Tuesday, so I'm definitely going to go there, man. Thanks a lot, Steve.
Right.
I mean, truck drivers, we didn't even know.
That's right. I appreciate it. All right. Well, thanks for calling in. Thank
you, guys. Keep it up. Good work.
All right, man.
Thank you.
So, motorcycle riders, sometimes we go on long rides, but the thing is, we stop every hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah.
But still, when I went to Sturgis, I was on the road for 9 hours.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I do as a motorcyclist, and I get all tensed up like that, is I do exercises while I'm riding, and I twist my body around, and I stop off and I drink a nice cold beer once in a while. Right.
And then do you do like yoga postures when you're getting gas and stuff like that? Keep your back loose.
Yeah,
just stuff like that.
Now this brings us to a good point. We have a viewer on Facebook, Gina Modilal.
Yeah.
She asked, "Hey Doc Krock, so for those of us with no history of DVT but traveling long distance, like overseas, what can we take or do to help prevent DVT from happening?"
Oh, that's outstanding. And that leads us up to that. I think we got a checklist that we can probably go through here pretty soon. But basically, it's stay hydrated. Obviously, move around every 30 minutes to an hour is what I tell people. Do heel raises, move your legs around, start walking around. And you can see we can use compression stockings. So here's our checklist. You can see running down. Get up and move often. If your ability to move is limited, you'll find exercise like I was just talking about. Drink lots of water. Compression stockings sometimes are better. If folks that have a hard time getting up, getting around, that's what I have them do. And then, keep an eye on your the symptoms to watch for. Leg pain, swellings, things like that. So, that's kind of the main sort of checklist you want to go through. And on airplanes and all of that, that's the best time to do it.
Yeah. What about the symptoms of these blood clots?
That's what's hard. These leg clots. So when it's a DVT, in other words, in the leg, sometimes there's no symptoms. Honestly, if there are symptoms, it's usually more sizable. It's a bigger one. So you get like redness, tenderness in the leg. One leg is more swollen than another leg, that kind of thing. And so we look for those kind of things. Could be warm, discoloration and so on. That's the leg symptoms. So that's what we watch for, Mm-hmm. But if you get those symptoms, honestly, in an odd way, you're lucky, because now you know to look for it. The biggest problem we have is people don't
do anything about it, or they don't do
anything about it, and they don't have symptoms or findings or signs of a clot. So it's a hard one to pick up. We just have to look with an ultrasound and check them out.
Cool.
Now, and so this is pretty common through people coming through your office. This is a pretty common occurrence.
Oh yeah, weekly, so a couple times a week in the office. We're diagnosing a PE blood clot in the lungs, like we talked about, or in the legs. People think it's a heart problem. They come to see us, and then next thing you know, we're doing a CAT scan and finding a blood clot in the lungs.
Man.
Weekly. That happened this week a couple times.
Well, I think this would be a great opportunity to tell us who our sponsor is this week.
Well, it's the Heart Smart Group.
The Heart Smart Group.
There it is.
How do they get a hold of the Heart Smart Group?
Well, nowadays we do everything online. You get up on that website.
Right.
You can connect and schedule an appointment that way. Of course, right there is a phone number. You call us. We got an office in McKinney, Frisco. Several doctors. We're growing. We're up in the North Dallas area.
So you can find them Google search Smart Heart Group in Plano.
Yeah, the Heart Smart Group in McKinney, Plano, Frisco, Allen.
You're kind of worldwide, aren't you?
Yeah. That's right. We're going worldwide.
Metroplex wide, I guess.
Yes, we're going worldwide.
And I found out before the show that you can speak Espanol. Is that correct?
Well, yeah.
You can.
Yeah.
So we should do a show in Spanish?
That's what I've been wanting to do.
Yeah?
Hablamos español.
Yeah? Well, okay.
Okay,
Muy,
let's go.
yo speaking muy poquito.
Well, at
Espanol.
least, yeah. I mean,
in fact, I got kicked out of 7th grade Spanish class because Mr. Gutierrez didn't think I was progressing good enough, I guess.
Well, it sounded like you needed a tutor.
Yeah, that wasn't the problem. The problem was I was too busy wrenching watching my brothers wrench on their motorcycle.
Yeah, so. You were back driving that 400cc.
Yeah, KZ 400.
That's right. That you were talking about last week.
Yes. Well, speaking of 400s, I had an opportunity to come across some 400s last Sunday. Mm-hmm. After I told you last weekend that I was going to come to you this week and tell you what my last weekend was like. So I got a little video support here. We're going to kind of describe what happens along the way here about my weekend of vintage rock and roll, vintage motorcycles, and hanging out with the vintage dudes that ride those vintage motorcycles from the Texas Vintage. Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
And then I got to play bass for my friends in the 222 band.
I say we check and see how many people are preventing DVTs as we watch the video.
Okay. Is there anybody to prevent it there?
Yeah, they're sitting, they're getting DVTs.
Oh, they are getting DVT. Oh, then Saturday night I went out to Fort Worth to check out my friends in the Texas Clearwater Revival Band.
Oh, yeah.
They were playing for a real live biker party over there in Fort Worth.
Well, see, they're all moving their legs, so there's no DVTs going on there. And she's walking, no DVT
But
there.
my day started at Hopper's Cycles in McKinney, where some TV personalities were there. Look at here.
When I was in high school, this was one of my first custom paint jobs on a helmet here. And I can't believe it, man. It's still pristine. Yeah, that's crazy, man. Where do you want you to? It ain't even chipped, man.
Okay, that's Joe Martin. Here's his wife, Amanda. They're on the TV show Iron Resurrection on Motor Trend TV. Now, let me tell you, the Martin brothers are famous here in Dallas, Texas. They started here in high school of painting their friends' cars and building motorcycles and stuff. An interesting story is their mom moved out of town, and him and his brother stayed here. They were like 16 years old, and they stayed in the house and everything and built their business out in Donkinville or DeSoto and became famous. In fact, they custom painted a Harley Davidson that Lone Star 92.5 has as part of a promotional motorcycle. It's 2007 Softail Custom. They put on
that's
pipes.
A Whataburger number.
Look at
they're going to be waiting a while for that grease ball, aren't they?
Yeah, man. So the Martin brothers, it was cool. It was cool to meet Joe and Amanda and the entire cast and crew of Iron Resurrection. And then the very next day, I got up and I went out to Boyd, Texas, to the River Valley Motocross Park.
Look at that.
Now, what I went out there to see today was my friends in the Texas Vintage Riding Club. And then they get on these vintage motorcycles. There's even some newer ones
What
too.
makes them vintage? How old are they?
I think 1980, 79, before 1979 is vintage, and then 82 is post vintage or something like that.
Okay.
I forgot the whole rundown, but I spent the day out here with these guys. And it's just a really cool family atmosphere, and there's people going around all over the place. And and these older guys, like my friend Richard and his friends, that we're going to see here in a second. Now, here's Richard.
Richard,
how'd you do, man?
I believe I got fourth. Full whole shot, though.
Awesome, I saw that.
Yeah, got out front on the front. That's always the best way to start.
Good job.
Out front. Kind of got in hot a little bit on the first turn, you know. Kind of overshot a little bit, and then should have stayed inside, and I'd have kept the other guy off me. But it's fun. That's all that matters.
Look good, man. Looks
TVRC is for the fun of it.
How do you feel?
Good. I'm not even after breath. I'm pretty good shape.
Yeah?
Yeah. Got a good night's rest last night. You know, it's always important.
Yeah, motocross pretty demanding on the old body, isn't it?
It is.
You guys ever get hurt?
I never have. Yeah, occasionally we've all had our little broke ribs or whatever, and you know, little things here and there. But
is it stuff that would look good on TV? You know, like on Wild World of Sports or something?
When I was in high school, I remember getting injured, but not later.
The agony of defeat?
I go just fast enough to not get injured.
Yeah, we don't do crowd pleasers anymore.
No crowd pleasers anymore for the old guys, but it is so cool to see. Now, one of the dudes that was there, we didn't get to see Jack, I believe his name was. That Jack is like 72 years old. And then there was this other cat that, by the way, Jack Jeter's his name. Yeah, he was a Vietnam vet. He got his knees shot out in Vietnam, got the Purple Heart and everything.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of these guys, didn't really grow up being motocross racers. They did it for fun, like I did when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But look at these guys, man. They're 72, 78, 78 years old. But as you can tell, Richard, he knows how to stay healthy, and he knows what it takes to get out there and have a fun day in taking care of his health.
Yeah, and there's fitness involved there for sure.
And to be honest with you, you've always heard that supercross or motocross is one of the most demanding sports out there.
Oh yeah.
And that's why these guys don't do any showing off anymore.
Yeah.
Because that's my problem. If I got out there and because it looks like so much fun.
Yeah.
And I've done it before, but I just would think I'd get out there and I would think that my 57-year-old body would think I'm 25 years old.
Well, I think what we're going to do is get you on a bike and monitor your whole heart system, your cardiovascular performance while you're on a bike. Remember, we're going to do that.
Yeah, and what about
we're going to see.
What about putting you out on a
I'm going
bike?
for sure.
So big thanks to my friends out at the River Valley Motocross and my guys in the Texas Vintage Racing Club. Pretty cool stuff, huh?
Yeah, no kidding. That's a good time.
Yeah,
we could
man.
do next time. We'll go out there. We'll do some blood pressure checks. You know,
That's
do
a
all
good idea.
Yeah, and make sure everybody's staying fit, keeping their blood pressure under control, and all of that.
So speaking of blood pressure, hypertension.
That's right.
Is something that we all deal with. Now, why in the heck do they call it the silent killer?
Well, there aren't symptoms.
There's
most
not
of the
symptoms,
time.
because when you have high blood pressure, you feel just fine.
That's right.
But you don't say, "Oh man, I feel like my blood pressure's high." Mm-hmm. You don't. So
yeah, occasionally people can have symptoms. If their blood pressure goes really high, get headaches, feel dizzy, lightheaded, all of that kind of stuff. So in that regard, we do blood pressure checks for sure. But then most of the time, people have no symptoms. Check their blood pressure, just because they're doing screening, and that's when we find they're having really high blood pressure, dangerous, can lead to strokes, which is usually a bleeding in the head type of stroke.
right.
And then tears in the arteries and, aortic dissections and all that. But, that's kind of that's what we're going to start looking into.
Next week?
Yeah.
We're going to talk about a little blood pressure. Now, I also came across a new research that talked about when should hypertension patients take their blood pressure medication.
Well, yeah.
So we'll find, because I've heard one thing, and then this study that I saw said something completely different.
Yeah, well,
so I want to talk to you about that.
Yeah, it could be at night, could be in the morning, could be in the middle of the day.
What are you doing this weekend?
Weekend.
You're going to get out and have some fun? I mean, doctors are, typically you guys don't have fun, do you?
Oh, yeah, we have a lot of fun.
Do you?
This weekend.
What does the doctors do to go out and have fun?
Well, I'll tell you, this weekend, where my kids and I were going to go to Six Flags.
What?
Fright night.
Fright night.
Yep.
That'll get your heart racing.
Yeah. We're going to go on those roller coasters and see what happens.
You going to put heart monitors on them?
Maybe. They're going to, you know how it is, kids, they're going to want cotton candy and whatever else.
Right. Okay.
Now, before the show, you were teasing us, Randude, that you found a rocker as early as 1950 that died of heart disease. Is that right?
Rocker term is a very loose term, and he died in the January of 1950. Let's see if I can pull this up real quick, and see if you guys know who this guy is, and tell me how he died. Let's see. His name is Kansas Joe McCoy. You ever heard of Kansas Joe McCoy?
Oh, yeah. We talk about him every day.
Oh, sure you do. This dude died of heart disease. 1950. He was in a band called the Harlem Ham Fats.
Oh, wow.
Nope, never. No.
Nope, never heard of him?
No.
Yeah, me neither. But that was the earliest guy that I found on record. Now, tell me this, Doc.
Yeah.
What the heck is a difference between, I was going to bring that up to you, congestive heart failure and heart attack?
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Well, that's a long conversation, which we'll go into on another show. But in a nutshell, heart failure is your heart's just not pumping and produce enough output for the body's needs. So it's failing. You could be walking around, just walking slow, not doing so well, and have heart failure.
So there's a definite difference between congestive heart failure and a heart attack.
Correct. Now, heart attack is where...
Do you want to save this for another show?
I do.
Okay.
I do. Because we got high blood pressure next week. And then we got, after that, heart attack. Then we're going to have heart failure, cardiac arrest. It's a whole nother conversation.
Right. Jim Morrison of the Doors, how'd he die?
Didn't he die in a bathtub?
But how?
I thought it was drug overdose.
No.
I thought it was heart failure because his heart was weakened from drugs.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Alcohol.
Heart failure.
Yeah, okay.
Ding, 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 ding. We've got a winner.
Probably alcoholic cardiomyopathy.
Ah, that sounds like really technical.
Yeah, alcohol is a direct toxin on the heart.
Ah.
So that's it.
Well, thanks for bringing that up.
Thanks for bringing us down, man.
Have a good weekend.
We're going to have a good weekend. I'm going to go to a party tonight. The band is playing tomorrow night at Rock and Brews. It's a big Halloween party. Long Jim White from the Bo and Jim Show will be debuting his Halloween costume tomorrow night, I've heard. That's what I've heard.
That's good.
And then Sunday, I'm going to be taking part in the ride, the teddy bear ride, which is going on over there at IKEA, 8:30 in the morning. IKEA. Now, let me tell you what the teddy bear ride is all about. Teddy bear ride is not anything to do with Christmas presents or anything like that. It has to do with providing teddy bears to the Collin County, the Children's Advocacy Center of Collin County. And what they do is they distribute these teddy bears to police organizations, to police departments. So when the police have to go to a domestic violence case or something like that, kids need to have a little comfort. So we get together and we give them these teddy bears. So that's Sunday, the teddy bear ride for the Children's Advocacy Center of Collin County. Anything else we want to talk about?
I think that's it. We just got to make sure we're staying healthy out there.
Okay, that's one thing I want to talk to you about too. You guys know where we are on Facebook and how to get a hold of us. Go. You don't have to submit a question right now while we're on the air. You can type us a question ahead of time, and we can answer it next week.
Yeah.
On the old.
We'll just
Rock
have
with Doc Krock.
we'll have a question, corner question kind of thing where we'll just go through those questions that come up during the week.
Now, I before we go, I do have one last question for the both of you.
What's that?
That's it.
What's your Halloween costume this year?
Oh, good question. Do you dress up?
Oh yeah, on occasion.
Yeah, what's it going to be?
Year. Well, this year I'm probably going to go as a wolf.
A wolf?
Yeah, just because we were talking about it with the kids, so a wolf. But I've been the Riddler.
Oh, I bet you're a good Riddler,
That
huh?
was a good one. That was a good one. I love being the Riddler.
Okay, so just tell them how to get a hold of the Heart Smart group one more time.
Oh, yeah. So we just go to the website, the Heart Smart Group website. Look us up, Google there. You can contact us through the phone number there. We got an office in McKinney and Frisco. And you come on up and see us. Take care of all your cardiac needs.
All right. You ready to get out of here?
Yeah.
And let Ziggy go home?
Yeah.
All right. Do you remember what our tagline is?
I do.
All right. What is it, man?
Stay heart smart.
And the shiny side up, baby. We'll see you guys next week, 3 o'clock, right here.